Hey folks, welcome to this week's Big Picture video for the Adventure Weekly Packets. As I mentioned in my email, it's likely that I made your student feel uncomfortable this weekend during our adventure services. Now, it's not because of what I said, but it's because of how I said it. You see, we were talking about worship and how worship helps us get to know God. Because oftentimes worship is an emotional connection. Yes, I did mention that worship goes beyond praising and singing and that ilk. But when we're talking about worship, we usually think about the emotional connection that we have with God. And what better book to represent that than the book of Psalms, which we read this past weekend. Now, as I read the Psalms, I read them with heart, with passion, with emotion. Because I wanted the students to understand that when we read the Bible, oftentimes we shouldn't just read it like it's some boring old textbook. We have to read it with heart. Because God doesn't just call us to meet with Him intellectually. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that we have to think about. But more so than that, we need to experience a connection with God. Part of the discipleship process, part of bringing these students into a mature covenant with God is so that they need to experience Him. They need to have that emotional experience with Jesus. Now, I'm not saying they need to sway in place and cry and, shake or anything like that. But I'm just saying we need to understand that God doesn't just reside in our minds. He resides in our hearts. And so this week I encourage them that they need to read a psalm, any psalm, probably not Psalm 119 because that would be ridiculous, but read a psalm every day and make that psalm theirs. Understand the emotion that's behind that psalm. Understand the worship that the psalmist was giving to God as they were writing the psalm. I encourage them to take it one step further and write down the psalm. Transcribe the psalm into a notebook, into a journal, just on a piece of paper, whatever the case is. So I hope that you work with them this week in that you help them find a psalm and make it their own. Help them understand the emotion that was behind the psalm. Psalm 51, we talked about this week, but that's a great place to start because it's got a story to it, right? David and Bathsheba. Psalm 23, very well known. Psalm 139, also a great place. Anyways, those are just some psalms, but there's countless that you can choose from. So hope that you do that. Hope that you engage with your students in that. As far as action items go, we still have signups available for the adventure night that's happening on Saturday from 7 to 9 at Get Air in Poway. Hopefully you are signing up your students for that. If you want to come and join us and bounce around, you are welcome to as well. Last but not least, our family nights, which we did a couple weeks ago, or rather last week, we're doing again in February. So the signups for the February family nights are online. So please click on the link and sign up there. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great week and talk to you next week. Thanks.